Hello to all of the people who are enjoying this conference from the comfort of their home. My name is Abhay Verma and I am a multimedia communication design student at Central Institute of Technology, Assam, India. Today I will be talking about my research project which is titled to Calligraphic Typesetting Exploration of Religious Scriptures to Resurrect the Emotional and Spiritual Connection Originally Existed in the Traditional Penmanship. Let me start with a brief introduction. Historically, humans have communicated with each other in many different ways. Ancient human species used most of the time pictorial representation for communication, and it was also one of the most simplest way of communicating with each other. Soon, language and writing evolved. With that, people started showing their creative expression, and decorative writing styles, techniques, and tools were designed. Different scripts, writing styles, and religions were also emerged. People started manually composing religious scriptures. Printing emerged after a point of time, due to which all of the scriptures which were being written manually by hand and were being composed in a certain style were now being mass produced by some specific machines. What happened with that is traditional calligraphic styles which were being observed in the scriptures which were being handwritten was lost. So this project is a small attempt to resurrect the look and feel of the traditional handwritten religious scriptures. Now these are two of the samples from the ancient Indian calligraphic handwritten scriptures. Both of these have a different writing styles. So on the left is a 19th century manuscript of the Hindu text Bhagavad Gita. So the methodology which was being followed for this project was initially it was started with the exploring and studying religious scriptures, then identifying the need for the experiment, then to conduct a initial survey or the field study for the hypothesis proposal, then sample collection of the religious scriptures, conducting a design experiment, comparing the output comparing the output with the initial obtained ancient document, then finally consolidating all of the information into a graphical analysis survey, and finally extracting the findings from the user survey and concluding the hypothesis. So the hypothesis which was proposed has been derived from the association theory of psychology. So in the study of psychology, a concept of association refers to mental connections between concepts, events, or mental states that usually stems from specific experiences. Hence, a hypothesis has been proposed which states that whenever we see a handwritten scriptures, it evokes a stimuli which is very different from the stimuli which is being evoked from a monotonous printed document. It happens because of a couple of reasons, which are our past experiences. It can be a social conditioning, antiquity, nostalgia, and so on. So handwritten scriptures feel very personal, whereas the printed ones have a very monotonous look and feel. So to adequately establish the need for the revival design experiment and to test the hypothesis, an initial survey or the field study was done with 30 people, and in this survey the qualitative data was collected to understand the emotional connection, views, thoughts on religious handwritten scriptures. This survey lasted for around 15 minutes and the questions were based on the following topics, which are emotional connection and belief in the religious scriptures, the kinds of handwritten and the printed text which these people own, their personal preference amongst handwritten and the printed documents, if the scriptures they own were passed on over the generations, and what are the emotional or the subjective differences in the handwritten and printed scriptures. Since the Indian Hindu literature or in general the Indian religious literature is very vast, two of the major documents or the manuscripts were being obtained in order to further proceed with the experiment. So I was fortunate enough to have a hands-on copy of a very, very old Ramayana manuscript which was being passed over the generations to me. And let me tell you some facts about Ramayana. Ramayana is an epic poem that consists of nearly 24,000 verses and is divided in about 5 volumes. It is a book of dharma that is worshipped by millions of people globally and is believed to have solutions to most of the problems and dilemmas that human society faces today. Another scripture which we had used for conducting our design experiment is very recently handwritten Mahamrityunjaya mantra manuscript, which was written by a priest. So this mantra is written on a skin of a Himalayan tree, which is also known as a birch bark. The significance of this mantra is this. Literally, the meaning of the Mahamrityunjaya mantra is great death conquering mantra. In Vedas, it finds its place in 3 texts: the Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, and the Athar Veda. In the next stage, the digital visual elements were recreated. As you can see here, this is a border and the design of the cover page from the original manuscript, and these are the letter forms which were scanned and then recreated in our digital vector drawing softwares. All of the letter forms and all of the numerals were made in a scalable vector format by first scanning the manuscript at a higher resolution and then using the individual letter forms to create a library of the letter forms, matras, numerals, and so on, and then finally composing the document to further proceed with the screen printing process. In the screen printing process, primarily 3 colors were used. For the cover page, the red and yellow was used. For the Ramayana text, black and red color was used, and for the Mahamrityunjaya mantra, only the red color was used. So this is how the screen printing process looks like. Since we had experimented with a lot of different printing technologies, why only a screen printing? There is a reason why we have picked the screen printing. So the objective was to obtain the closest resemblance with the original manuscript. Screen printing can be done on any kind of textured surfaces and a very beautiful output can be obtained. Screen printing is very cheap and can be mass produced, high availability and acceptability. In the screen printing process, there are slight inconsistencies which makes the screen printing process gives it a slight handmade finish, and the letter forms which are produced within the process of screen printing have certain depth in them, which primarily replicates the ink on the surface of the ancient handwritten surfaces. So these are the screen printing done on different surfaces: plain paper, grainy brown paper, birch bark or skin of Himalayan tree, cloth, off-white textured paper and yellow textured paper. So this is the output comparison: newly recreated manuscript and ancient original manuscript. For the final survey, 45 people were interviewed, and now this survey was a little bit broad from the initial survey. Amongst all of the 45 people, 5 were personally known, 15 priests from the nearby temple, and 25 people who had faith or interested in religious scriptures were collected for the survey. There were a total of 15 questions for the questionnaire which was prepared for the final survey. Users were asked to rate certain parameters from a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the least and 10 being the best parameter. 5 parameters were paper, ink and texture, how accurately all of these parameters were compared to the original text and to the final printed ones. Second parameter was ancient script and letter form matching. Third one was 3-color accuracy, and the final one was overall size and page layout. And last one, ease in reading. The final score by consolidating all of the information was 8.2, which is 82%, and can be considered as an excellent score to prove the validity of the proposed hypothesis. At last, I would like to say that the preference to utilize the recreated manuscripts over the monotonously printed conventional manuscript booklets has been found. People and priests appreciated the idea of reviving by revisiting the old manuscript and showed an overwhelming response in terms of emotional and spiritual relatability with the reprinted manuscripts. So I'd like to conclude by saying that this study found out that conventional printed manuscripts are incapable of capturing the subjective spiritual essence of the handwritten ancient religious documents. This typographic exploration is capable of allowing people, just besides admiring, to actually experience and psychologically connect with the delicate ancient art of calligraphy. The prime goal of this study is to encourage the people involved in the print production industry to redefine the printing process of the religious scriptures, not just within the context of Indian religious scriptures, but globally. And they should print these texts while taking into the account the psychological responses towards the religious texts. The elaborate case study for this research has been published by Springer in Design for Tomorrow journal. And finally, I would like to thank the entire Type Weekend team for organizing this event and giving me the chance to share my ideas. My mentor and guide for this project, Dr. Abhijit Padun, Department of Multimedia Communication and Design at CIT India, and all of the other people who have helped me, supported me throughout the project. Thank you for having me.